Hello, period two. Did you know that today is National Pepperoni Pizza Day? Well, now you do. No, I won't be serving up any pepperoni pizza in class, but I've got plenty of cheesy jokes for you. Get it? All right, I'll stop now. I'm sorry that I can't be there with you today, but as you know, I think I told you yesterday that I'm in the building. I'm in a training session in the morning, so I'm around if you need me. But I won't see you again until Wednesday. So I have put together slides for you, and I'm going to leave you an instructional video. I'm hoping that this is the clearest way that I can assist you this period. So, if you haven't done so already, please take your reader's notebook to your seat, and you are going to need something to write with today. Our objective is that you will be able to prepare for our visit to the school library, and you're going to write about the plot of a story. So, first, what we're going to do is get a little bit of information about our upcoming visit to the school library. And then we are going to do an activity that is a 4 quadrant brainstorming activity that is all about matching readers to books. So, we will start off with that in just a moment. Then, at the end of the period, you are going to be doing some writing in your reader's notebook today. You'll be making 2 entries, so I will share that information with you. Please keep an eye on the clock because at the end of the period, I do want to make sure that everybody has adequate time to clean up. Sometimes when we're rushed, some of you just shove your reader's notebook on top of the bin, next to the bin, just shove it on the shelf. And we don't want to do that. We want to take an extra minute to make sure that they're all nice and neat in the bin, that they all fit in there, and that the bin is put away on the shelf. So I will tell you that our classroom clock is off by about 2 minutes. Your best bet is to use the clock that is on your Chromebook because you will be using a Chromebook. Actually, no, you won't be using a Chromebook today. You might. You might. Um, yeah. So if you're able to, use the clock on your Chromebook just as a general rule of thumb whenever you're in the classroom. If you are looking at the clock on the wall, just know that it's about 2 minutes slow. All right. So keep an eye on that for cleanup. All right, here we go. We are going to the library. It's going to be tomorrow, meaning Wednesday, and Thursday. So you are not going to come to our classroom. You're going to go straight to the library and meet me there. On Wednesday, you are going to meet the librarian, Mrs. Green. You are going to have a library orientation where she's going to go over things like how can you check out books, when can you check out books, here are the different sections of the library, things like that. You will also be taking a survey. That way, she can get a better understanding of the types of books that you like to read. And that's why she's asking that you please bring your Chromebook to the library on Wednesday. Thursday, you are going to select an independent reading book based on our current unit of study. So, right now, we are reading narratives. So, I'm going to ask that everybody select a narrative from the school library on Thursday. Most likely, your narrative is going to be fiction. Maybe somebody has a nonfiction narrative. It is possible, it's certainly possible, but you're not going to select a book for our in-class purposes. Now, of course, you could, check out another book another time just to read on your own, and it could have nothing at all to do with our class. But for your class independent reading book that we're going to use on a regular basis after our trip to the library, it has to be a narrative and it should not be something like, say, a biography, right? That's something that you can check out and read on your own time. I would strongly encourage you to read a variety of genres. But in the beginning of the year, narrative is the way to go because we will be using our independent reading book to connect with things that we're learning about in class. So we can chat a little bit more about that on Thursday. Just want to give you a heads up. All right. So, how do we choose books? You guys are going to have a lot of freedom to make a book selection on your own, and I want you to consider some criteria. So check this out. This is that 4 quadrant brainstorming activity that I was telling you about. So just follow along here with me. How do we match readers to books? Well, we have 2 different things that we're looking for. One is we want to consider the challenge of the book. So if it's a high level, like it's more challenging, it's going to go in the plus side, which would be over here to the right. If it's not as challenging with the negative sign, that's over here to the left. Another category that we'll be looking for is interest. If something is of high interest, that'll be towards the top of the quadrant. If something is low interest, that's going to go down here near the bottom of the quadrant. So this is just something I wanted to give you, to get you thinking about. If a book is relaxed, that's going to fall over here. Low challenged, very simple, but high interest. You're interested in reading about it, but it's not very challenging. That might be something that you enjoy reading, maybe like a magazine. Magazines are typically not going to stump you with lots of sophisticated language, but they're just comfortable to read. You can thumb through it, take your time at your leisure, pick it up one day, put it down the next. You could probably fly through it. It's just a nice, relaxed, chill read. If we're talking about something that's not very challenging and you're not very interested in it, it's probably going to be boring because what's the fun in that? So that would be something like any type of children's book. Here's an example, one of my favorites. I do love Pete the Cat, but it's not something that I would tend to walk into a library and beeline towards the children's section, right? Because as much as we might have a favorite children's book, it's not very challenging. It's really not that interesting. It's just kind of fun to read, but really overall, they are quite boring because we are much more advanced readers than a young child. In this category over here, we have a high challenge, see by the plus sign over here on the right, but low interest. And that could lead to frustration. Think about something that's really, really hard and difficult to read, but we don't really care about the topic. That could be represented here by a college chemistry book. That just sounds intimidating. For most of us at least, that don't have any interest in reading about chemistry, let alone college chemistry. That's going to be filled with unfamiliar words, terminology, and concepts. So we're going to struggle with even reading one page. We're going to have to look everything up and really concentrate, and we're going to be very frustrated. Our last category is where a text is challenging and we're interested in it. So, because we're interested in it, we're going to kind of push ourselves a little bit more to meet the challenge. So, it's attainable. We can do it, but I'm going to have to pause and think a lot about it. So, that might be a book that is intended for maybe an 8th grader or a 9th grader. So, it's doable. Um, it's just something that is not going to be as comfortable or as relaxed as maybe where we started over here. So the question is, where's the sweet spot? Where should you be aiming to select books? Some of you might say, well, in the stretch category, but is that too challenging? Maybe some of you would say on the line. Kind of, you want to read something that interests you, but it should be in between a stretch and relaxed. Some of you might be saying, oh, well, I really want to push myself. I want to be more in this frustration category. But do you? Because that means that that's low level interest. So I would actually say that you're probably going to stay away from this bottom row because I don't see anyone going into the library and intentionally checking out a book that they're not interested in. So I'm thinking that you're going to be somewhere up here. Do you really want to be at the low end here of relaxed for an independent reading book that you're primarily reading in school? I would say that this is like that leisurely reading that you're doing on your own time. But for an independent reading book in school, maybe you're somewhere on this line. Maybe you're over and stretch a little bit. maybe you're right in the middle of the whole quadrant. It's really your choice. But I just wanted to get you to think about this because we are going to be doing some work with this quadrant this year. In fact, there's my segue. I'd like for you to consider, where would your summer book go? The book, actually, and this is honors, you had two. So you had the book that you were required to read as an honors student. Remember how there were four choices, and I had you raise your hands the other day to share with us which book that you read. And then there's another book of your choice. It could have been any book at all that you read over the summer. So what I'd like for you to do is I'm going to ask that you open up your reader's notebook to the next available page, and you are going to put the date at the top. Today is 9/20, and you're going to write across the top of the page, how do we match readers to books? And you're going to recreate this page exactly as you see this, with the quadrants and the labels and all. And you're just going to leave out where it says here, where would your summer book go, right? I just put that here for you to reference right now. But you will find a place on this quadrant where I want you to put the title of the book that you read over the summer. Which category do you think it fits in? Do you think it's right on a line? Do you think it's all the way over and relaxed? Do you think it's near the stretch line? Do you think it's down in frustration, in the middle, to the right, to the left? So find a place where you think that actually both of your summer reading books would best fit. I'm curious where they're going to end up. I'm curious if we're going to look at quadrants, and if we compare some of the same books that you read, if people would feel differently about them. So that'll be an interesting experiment that we'll have to look into. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video, recreate this in your reader's notebook, and please put your two book titles. If you know the authors too, fantastic. You could add them in, Google the authors, and put them on this chart, and then press play again. So just pause the video now and do that. All right, and you're back. Here is what you're going to do for the remainder of the period. You are going to begin a new page in your notebook. So this is now yet another page. So this will go behind the quadrant that we just did. I'm going to ask you to choose one of the prompts from the chart paper in the front of the room. And you'll see that there are some questions there about setting, about plot. And I'm going to ask that you relate it to the short story that we read yesterday, which is called The Collector. Now, you should have already submitted your plot diagram for The Collector, and I will grade those over the next couple days, and you'll see that grade pop up in Google Classroom. But you are going to have to access The Collector in Google Classroom, and you can then complete the assignment. I will try to leave a couple of hard copies of The Collector out on my desk in the event that you don't have access to a Chromebook. If you have any questions, I'm going to ask you to first check in with your elbow partner, see if there's something there that they can help you with, or you could ask the sub, or you can email me. But chances are I probably will not turn on GoGuardian this period. I think that you guys will be able to do this independently. But if you're really, truly stuck on something, send me an email. All right, so I hope that you guys have a great period. And just again, as a reminder, please be sure to leave an extra minute or two at the end of the period to neatly put away all of your reader's notebooks. And I will see you in the library on tomorrow, Wednesday. See you then.